Camila Torres opened her eyes at 5:30 in the morning, just like she had done every single day for the past 3 years. The bedroom felt cold despite the expensive silk sheets and the perfectly controlled air conditioning. Next to her, the other side of the California king bed remained untouched. Nathan had stopped sleeping in their bedroom 18 months ago. He claimed his late work hours would disturb her rest. She had stopped arguing about it after the first 100 times. She lay there for a moment, staring at the crystal chandelier hanging from the ceiling. It cost more than most people earned in a year. Everything in this house did. The marble floors imported from Italy, the furniture custom-made by award-winning designers, the art pieces collected from galleries across 3 continents, yet none of it could fill the emptiness that had become her constant companion. The husband who forgot how to see. Nathan Torres was already awake in his study, exactly where Camila knew she would find him if she bothered to look. At 37 years old, he had built an empire in commercial real estate. His company owned half the office buildings in the city. His face appeared regularly in business magazines, always with that same confident smile that had once made her heart race. Now that smile existed only for cameras and clients. She could not remember the last time he had smiled at her. Camila got out of bed and walked to the window overlooking their perfectly manicured garden. The morning sun painted the sky in shades of pink and gold. 3 gardeners worked below, maintaining the roses and hedges that she had picked out when they first moved in. Back then, she thought this house would be filled with laughter and children and Sunday morning pancakes. Instead, it had become a museum where 2 people lived separate lives under one roof. She prepared breakfast alone in the kitchen that could serve a restaurant. Toast and coffee. Simple. There was no point in making anything elaborate. Nathan would grab an espresso on his way out and forget to eat until his assistant brought him lunch at his desk. She sat at the dining table that seated 12 and ate in silence. The only sound was the ticking of the antique clock in the hallway. 3 years of trying. Camila thought back to their wedding day. It had been perfect. A beachside ceremony with 200 guests. She wore a dress that took 6 months to create. Nathan had tears in his eyes when she walked down the aisle. He promised her forever. He promised her everything. For the first year, he kept those promises. They traveled together, Paris, Tokyo, Barcelona. He would cancel meetings to have lunch with her. He brought her flowers for no reason. He told her she was beautiful every single day. Then his company secured a massive contract, the biggest deal of his career. It required his complete attention. Just for a few months, he said. The few months turned into a year. The year turned into 3. Somewhere along the way, he forgot that he had a wife waiting at home. He forgot that marriage required more than just paying bills and showing up to social events. Camila had tried everything to reach him. She planned romantic dinners that he missed. She bought lingerie that stayed hidden in drawers. She suggested couples therapy. He said he was too busy. She asked if they could at least have breakfast together once a week. He said his schedule would not allow it. She cried and told him she felt alone. He said she was being dramatic. After all, she had everything she could possibly want. A mansion, designer clothes, unlimited credit cards. What more could she need? The decision that changed everything. On a Tuesday morning in September, something inside Camila finally broke. Not in a painful way, in a liberating way. She was sitting in the living room, looking at her reflection in the window. At 30 years old, she barely recognized herself. She had given up her career in interior design to be the perfect wife. She had abandoned her friends because Nathan found them too loud and immature. She had stopped painting, something she loved since childhood, because he said it made a mess in the house. She had become a shell, a beautiful, well-dressed shell that existed only to maintain appearances. She picked up her phone and called her former professor from design school, Professor Helen Whitmore. They had stayed in touch over the years through occasional messages. Helen had always told Camila she had rare talent, that she should never give it up. Camila had ignored that advice for 3 years. Helen answered on the second ring. Her voice was warm and surprised. They talked for an hour. Helen told Camila about an opening at Rivera Design Studio, one of the most respected interior design firms in the city. The owner, Julian Rivera, was looking for someone with fresh ideas and classical training. Helen offered to recommend her. Camila accepted without hesitation. First steps into a new world. The interview happened 3 days later. Camila stood in front of her closet staring at rows of expensive gowns and cocktail dresses. Nothing appropriate for a job interview. Everything was designed for charity galas and business dinners where she stood silently next to Nathan, smiling for photographs. She drove to a mall and bought a simple black pantsuit. It felt strange wearing something she had chosen for herself. Rivera Design Studio occupied the 10th floor of a converted warehouse in the Arts District. Floor-to-ceiling windows flooded the space with natural light. Young designers worked at drafting tables, their walls covered with fabric swatches and color palettes. It felt alive in a way her mansion never did. Julian Rivera was 42, with kind brown eyes and a genuine warmth in his handshake. He looked at her portfolio carefully, asking thoughtful questions about her design philosophy and creative process. He did not once check his phone. He did not cut her off mid-sentence. He listened like her words actually mattered. When he offered her the position, Camila felt something she hadn't felt in 3 years: hope. She drove home and found Nathan in his study, surrounded by blueprints and financial reports. She told him about the job. He glanced up for less than a second. "That's fine. Do whatever makes you happy." His words should have been supportive. Instead, they confirmed what she already knew. Nathan didn't care what she did with her time as long as it didn't interfere with his schedule. She was a detail in his life, not a priority, not a partner, just another item on a very long list of things he owned. Camila went to bed that night in their empty bedroom, but she didn't feel lonely anymore. She felt determined. Her life was about to change. Whether Nathan noticed or not no longer mattered. She was done being invisible. Camila arrived at Rivera Design Studio at 8 in the morning on her first day. She wore the black pantsuit again, paired with a cream blouse and simple silver earrings. Her hair was pulled back in a neat bun. She felt nervous and excited in equal measure. The last time she had worked was 3 years ago, when she was an assistant designer at a small firm. That version of herself felt like a stranger now. Julian greeted her at the entrance with 2 cups of coffee. He remembered that she took hers with cream and no sugar from their interview. Such a small detail, but it made her feel noticed. He introduced her to the team. There was Monica, the project manager, who spoke rapidly and smiled constantly. David, the senior designer who had worked in the industry for 20 years, and Sophie, the young intern fresh out of design school with boundless energy and terrible taste in music that she played too loudly. They welcomed her without judgment or questions about where she had been. In this space, she was not Nathan Torres' wife. She was Camila, the new designer with fresh ideas. Julian assigned her to work on a residential project for a young couple expecting their first child. They wanted a nursery that felt warm and modern without being trendy. Camila spent the entire day sketching concepts, selecting color palettes, and researching sustainable materials. When 5 o'clock came, she looked up in surprise. 8 hours had passed like minutes. Conversations that mattered. Julian stopped by her desk as she was packing up. He looked at her sketches spread across the workspace. His face showed genuine interest as he studied each one carefully. He picked up a drawing of a reading nook with built-in shelves and soft lighting. "This is beautiful. The way you incorporated natural elements with the modern lines creates such a peaceful feeling. These clients are going to love this." Camila felt warmth spread through her chest. When was the last time someone had praised her work? When had someone last looked at something she created and seen value in it? She thanked him quietly, afraid her voice might crack with emotion. Julian pulled up a chair and sat down, not hovering over her like a boss asserting authority, sitting beside her like an equal. He asked about her design philosophy and what inspired her creative choices. They talked for 30 minutes about architecture, art, the way light transforms spaces. He shared stories about projects that challenged him and clients who taught him valuable lessons. He asked her opinion and actually listened to her answers. When Camila finally left the studio that evening, she realized she was smiling, really smiling.
Not the practiced, polite smile she wore at Nathan's business events. A real smile that came from somewhere genuine inside her. She drove home through evening traffic, but instead of dreading her arrival at the empty mansion, she felt content. She had spent a day doing work that mattered. She had conversations with people who valued her thoughts. The house that noticed nothing. Nathan's car was not in the garage when she arrived. No surprise there. He typically returned after 10, sometimes after midnight. Camila made herself a simple dinner of pasta and salad. She ate at the kitchen counter instead of the formal dining room. She had stopped setting that table months ago. There was something depressing about fine china and crystal glasses when you ate alone every night. She spent the evening working on her laptop, refining the nursery designs and researching furniture options. Around 11, she heard Nathan's car pull into the garage. His footsteps moved through the house toward his study. He did not stop by the kitchen, did not call out to ask if she was home. The study door closed with a soft click. That was the extent of their interaction for the day. Camila closed her laptop and went upstairs to their bedroom. She wondered briefly if Nathan even remembered that she had started a new job today. Probably not. He had not asked about it, had not wished her good luck, had not inquired about how it went. She was living her own life parallel to his, two train tracks that never met. Blooming in the right soil. The weeks that followed brought transformation. Camila threw herself into work with a passion she had forgotten she possessed. The nursery project was approved enthusiastically by the clients, who praised her ability to capture exactly what they wanted but could not articulate. Julian assigned her more projects: a downtown loft renovation, a restaurant redesign, a boutique hotel lobby. Each one challenged her in different ways and helped her rediscover skills she thought she had lost. But beyond the work itself, it was the environment that changed her. Every morning she walked into a studio where people greeted her by name, where Monica asked about her weekend, where David shared design magazines and discussed industry trends, where Sophie played terrible music but also brought homemade cookies every Friday, where Julian checked in not just about project deadlines, but about how she was doing as a person. Julian had a way of noticing things. When Camila changed her hairstyle, cutting it to shoulder length with subtle highlights, he mentioned it immediately. "The new cut suits you, makes you look confident and sophisticated." When she seemed frustrated with a difficult client, he took her to lunch and let her vent without offering unsolicited advice. When she successfully landed a major contract, he celebrated with the whole team and made sure everyone knew it was her design vision that won the client over. The version of herself she had forgotten. Camila started investing in her appearance again, but this time for herself, rather than for someone who would not notice. She bought clothes that made her feel powerful and creative. Bold colors, interesting textures, statement jewelry. She experimented with makeup, learning techniques from videos online. She joined a gym near the studio and started taking morning yoga classes, not to change her body, but to reconnect with it after years of feeling like she existed only from the neck up. Her confidence grew visibly. In client meetings, she presented her ideas with conviction. She negotiated contracts and defended her creative choices. Nathan moved through the crowded ballroom like a man in a trance. His eyes never left Camila. She stood in a circle of 5 people, gesturing animatedly as she explained something. Her hands moved gracefully through the air. Her face glowed with enthusiasm. The man beside her, tall, with dark hair graying at the temples, watched her with clear admiration. He said something that made the whole group laugh. Camila threw her head back, genuine joy lighting up her features. Nathan stopped a few feet away. Up close, the transformation was even more shocking. When did she cut her hair? Those highlights caught the chandelier light, making her look like she belonged in a magazine. The dress hugged curves he had forgotten existed. Her makeup was different, bolder, more confident. She wore earrings he had never seen before, diamond studs that caught the light when she moved. Had he bought those for her? He could not remember buying her jewelry in months, maybe years. Julian noticed Nathan first. His smile faltered slightly as he registered the intensity of the stranger's stare. He leaned closer to Camila and said something quietly. She turned. Her eyes met Nathan's. For a moment, everything stopped. The orchestra continued playing, people continued their conversations, but in the space between Camila and Nathan, time suspended itself. The recognition that came too late. Nathan saw a dozen emotions flash across his wife's face in rapid succession: surprise, confusion, then something that hit him like a physical blow: indifference. Not anger, not hurt, just a cool, detached acknowledgment of his presence, like he was an acquaintance she vaguely recognized but had no particular interest in speaking to. That look terrified him more than rage would have. Camila excused herself from the group and walked toward him. Not rushed, not eager, just polite obligation. She stopped an arm's length away, close enough to speak privately, far enough to maintain clear distance. "Nathan, what are you doing here?" Her voice was calm, measured, none of the warmth she had shown moments earlier with the people she worked with. He felt like an intruder in her world, which made no sense because she was his wife. Except standing here now, watching her treat him like a stranger, he realized he had no idea who his wife actually was. "I'm here for business, the real estate development panel. What are you doing here? You did not tell me you were coming to this event." Camila's eyebrow raised slightly. "I did not tell you because you never asked. I have been working at Rivera Design Studio for 3 months. Tonight they are receiving an award for a project I contributed to. My team invited me." 3 months. She had been working for 3 months and he had no idea. How was that possible? They lived in the same house, ate in the same kitchen, or did they? Nathan tried to remember the last time he had actually seen Camila, really seen her, not just passed her in the hallway or heard her moving around in another room. He could not recall a single instance. The stranger he married. "Who is he?" The question came out harder than Nathan intended. He gestured toward Julian, who was watching them with careful attention from across the room. "That is Julian Rivera, my boss. He owns the design studio where I work." "You seem close." Something flickered in Camila's eyes. Not guilt, something closer to amusement. "We are colleagues. He values my work. He treats me like a professional, like a person whose thoughts and opinions matter." The implication landed like a slap. Nathan felt heat rise in his chest. What is that supposed to mean? "It means exactly what I said. Nothing more, nothing less." A waiter passed with champagne. Camila took a glass. Nathan noticed her hands. She wore her wedding ring, but it looked loose, like she had lost weight. When had that happened? Had she been eating properly? He had no idea. He knew nothing about her daily life, her routine, her struggles, her victories. "Camila, I think we need to talk." "Now you want to talk? After 3 years of silence, you choose a public event to suddenly decide we need to communicate?" Her voice remained steady. No raised volume, no dramatic scene, just quiet, devastating truth. Nathan looked around. People were starting to notice them, to glance over curiously. He was Nathan Torres. His face appeared in business magazines. The last thing he needed was gossip about trouble in his marriage. "Not here. Can we go somewhere private?" Camila took a sip of champagne. "I don't think so. My team is about to receive an award. I intend to be there when they call our name. You are welcome to stay and watch, or you can return to your business associates. Either way, I have plans that do not include you tonight." The award that revealed everything. She walked away before he could respond. Nathan stood frozen, watching her rejoin Julian and the others. They welcomed her back warmly. Julian's hand rested briefly on her shoulder, a gesture of support and friendship. Nathan felt something ugly twist in his gut. Jealousy. He had no right to it. He had ignored his wife for 3 years, but seeing another man treat her with kindness and respect made him realize what he had thrown away. The lights dimmed. An announcement echoed through the ballroom. The award ceremony was beginning. Nathan found himself moving towards the back of the crowd, unable to leave but unsure why he was staying. Categories were announced. Winners came to the stage. Speeches were made. Then they reached Design Excellence for Residential Projects. And the winner is Rivera Design Studio for the Morrison Estate renovation. Please welcome Julian Rivera and his team. Julian walked to the stage,
Monica and David followed, and then Camila. She moved with grace and confidence. When Julian accepted the award, he immediately gestured to his team. This recognition belongs to all of us, but I want to especially acknowledge